Wonderful program, West Bremer Radio. Let's talk to the man that knows all about the history of Ipswich. He is one of the great researchers. We're going to get a book out eventually. We're going to convince the Ipswich City Council they should have a book with all the stories from Harold the H. Peacock from historyouthere.com. Check out his Facebook post, historyouthere.com. He's got some great yarns there. We have discovered things with his stories where people should have been recognised 100 years ago. So he's unbelievable. He ferrets. He's a ferret. He's got his metal detector. How are you, Harold the H?
Fantastic, Johnny, and Merry Christmas today.
Merry Christmas today. It's a great day. You know one thing. Do you ever watch that Oak Island thing on TV where they keep finding...
Oh, the treasure hunting? Absolutely. I dream of Oak Island.
Mate, they spend millions of dollars digging up an old lake and finding a bit of wood, and they get excited in a little tiny nail. They go, whoa, we're onto it here. This is where... They're onto something.
Yeah, well, all they got to do is come to Ipswich, and they got that everywhere.
And they get you, Harold the H. Peacock, with his little extension, his proboscis poking out, his flaming metal detector. Now, you're going to tell us a Christmas story.
Yeah, that's right. It's about the railway guard who saved Christmas. Now, it starts back in 1943. Now, the railway guard, Norm Raymond, walked down the aisle of the Central Methodist Church in Ellenborough Street here in Ipswich with his daughter on his arm. Now, this was during the Second World War, and Norm worked on the trains carrying troops to and from the army camps out of Redbank.
Yeah, and he would have known my mum's father, because he was a railway guard around that time. His name was Edward John Carl.
Oh, well, Eddie and Norm would have been mates for sure.
What's Norm's name?
Norm Raymond.
Norm Raymond. Yeah, okay.
Well, the Raymond family have been involved in the railways, multi-generational. Yeah. But in this case, his daughter was Private Hazel Raymond, and she was in the Australian Army Medical Women's Service, and she worked at the Army Hospital out there at Redbank, where she met leading aircraftman Bill English. Now, Hazel and Bill were getting married now that he'd sufficiently recovered from various tropical diseases that he'd brought back from serving in New Guinea. But seated in the pews of the church was Hazel's brother, Eddie Raymond.
Yes.
Now, from an early age, Eddie had shown great promise wearing costumes. When he was just 8 years old, he'd won a fancy dress contest as Dick Whittington at the Toogoolawah Hospital Ball. Now, Dick Whittington, of course, was the mayor of London in the 1400s, who supposedly made his fortune when he sold his cat. Anyway, Eddie had been a junior member of the Methodist Church in Ellenborough Street, where he met his future wife. Now, after Eddie knocked down a fence while learning to drive, he lost all interest in cars and so never drove one again in his life. This was a decade before. Now, go back a decade before the wedding, and Eddie was in that same church, which today is the Ipswich Central Mission, and the date was Saturday, the 3rd of December, 1932. Now, Santa was there to celebrate Christmas with the children.
Right.
The fat man was moving among the children with a bundle of his toys. That's when a boy with some decorations in his hand got so excited that he brushed across the lighted candles on the Christmas cake.
Right.
Now immediately the decorations burst into flames. Santa, who was nearby, rushed over to put the fire out.
Right.
But as he got there, that's when his beard caught fire. Now, the life of not only Santa and the boy were in danger, but also that of everyone in the hall, because pandemonium was about to break out. It was then that Santa tore off his beard and pulled off his big red coat. Now, he smothered the fires before panic could spread and cause any life-threatening injury. So Santa not only saved the boy's life, but also that of himself and dozens of children. Now, I'll let you in on a secret, Danny.
Yeah, there's always a but more.
There was, because in this case, it was actually a 20-year-old Eddie Raymond who was working as Santa that day. And so it was Eddie as Santa who saved Christmas. Now, the careers of those present that day flourished. The Reverend Herbert Denny, who was the minister of the church. The following year, he was elected president of the Methodist Church in Queensland. And Eddie Raymond, he was a labourer at the time of the fire. Now, following the events, Eddie got a job with the railways, first as a cleaner, then a porter, a shunter, and ultimately as a railway guard to equal that of his father. Now, Eddie spent the last 40 years of his life in the home that he bought with his wife Ivy in Jordan Street at Ebervale, and the home is still there today. So, Danny, heroes come in many forms. They're not always soldiers or our parents, but sometimes they can be a railway guard and Santa, like Eddie back in 1932. And so we should remember him today because it's Christmas.
Christmas Day. Yeah, you go on.
Christmas Day, 1932. We should remember it, and we should remember it now in 2021.
Yes, we do forget our past a lot, don't we, and things that have happened, and that's the way the generations are these days. They don't seem to care about what's happened in the past, and that's where that respect thing seems to be lost a bit. But anyhow, it's great having you on the program. Thanks for making the effort on Christmas Day. I hope you have a really great day. Don't eat and drink too much, and remember the reason for the season. And it's a pleasure to have you on the program because you're one of the best talents in Queensland radio.
I thought you were going to say whole of Australia. But
well, okay, Australian radio. There he is, Errol the H. Peacock. HistoryOutThere.com on West Bremer Radio. Merry Christmas.